Hello everyone, it's Yanni here, Director and Auctioneer at Yanni Mooney Property. We welcome you to our live real estate update for Monday the 13th of February. Another massive weekend throughout our Caloundra marketplace. Let's get into it. Over $2.5 million worth of sales for our business over the last 7 days. It's been a massive week of negotiations and putting deals together. First one was the property that went to auction on Saturday and sold, Unit 12 of 17 Canberra Terrace in Kings Beach. Congratulations to my clients Leah and Brad, absolute pleasure working with you. We also sold Unit 4 of 1 Saltaire Street in Kings Beach. Absolute pleasure working with you, Damon. It was great fun along the way. And also Unit 511 of 72 Esplanade in Golden Beach, this 2-bedroom unit. Sold in the last week. A very big congratulations to Catherine, my seller. We must have had close to 10 face-to-face appointments in that short campaign. We wanted to make sure we got it right, and we absolutely did. What's happening across the 4551 postcode? Well, there's been 17 sales in our neck of the woods in the last week. Now, 2 of those properties selling over the $1 million amount. 12 properties selling under the $1 million amount, and 3 properties selling for an undisclosed price. The property sales over $1 million, it's been coming down that number over the last few weeks pretty consistently. There's less and less sales over that $1 million mark. In saying that, that just might be a place and time. We will see more and more of that as well. 32 new listings hitting the market in the last week. That number was 40 last week. We made some comments that it doubled the fortnight prior, tripled to 39 as well. So, those numbers are quite interesting, but 32 properties listed in the last week. I think it might hover around between that 30 to 40 mark. For each week in February, potentially. They're probably healthier listing numbers. I know that sweet spot's probably about 25 listings or thereabouts in a week. Now, I'm still seeing a lot of properties, quite a number of properties throughout our whole marketplace going under offer. 1 week passes, 2 week passes, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then the contract crashes and it falls over. Now, that could either be the property falling over on a finance condition, it could be building and pest special conditions, subject to sales, whatever it may be, but that property falling over and then hitting the market again. Now, we really want to discuss tonight why it's so important, so crucial if you're a seller out there and you're thinking, how do I sell in the best way possible? Not just for the best price, but the best way possible. Peace of mind as much as we can. I think it's really crucial that you go with a process that has no conditions, an unconditional sale, no cooling off period, which is a 5-day standard clause on every contract in the state. Finance, which is generally 21, 28 days. Some banks are wanting longer now as well. I've seen some 35s and 42s. Building and pest is generally 14 days, a condition that goes on a contract, and any special conditions as well that could be longer, due diligence, subject to sale, there's a million of them. So how do we get a contract where when we sign, it's done? I think that's a very crucial contract to have in today's market. It's not just the money, it's the conditions as well, because arguably you could get 5 million and it could be subject to whatever the buyer wants it to be. Why do we go for an unconditional sale? Well, as soon as the contract's signed, it's unconditional. You can start packing. You can make an offer cash on your next property. You can get moving with life. Another important thing is that in that 30 days, 28 days, as long as those conditions are, as soon as you sign a contract that's conditional as a seller, the buyer has all of the power, literally. They can choose to proceed, to not proceed, just based on whether they get the right information or if they even want to. So if there's a finance clause on there for 28 days and a building and pest on 14 days, a buyer can only choose to proceed with that. You could get a higher offer the week after you sign the contract. You can't accept that offer unless there's a sunset clause, which is pretty rare. A lot of contracts having 21 days conditional period on them. So you sign a contract, there's 21 days of finance. Our standard settlement's 30 days. So if you sign a contract and then a buyer takes 21 days and then they say, we're going ahead with that contract, you only have 9 days of knowing it's certainly sold to you settling. That's going to be a very fast 9 days between that unconditional date and that sale date where you have to pack, move, organise everything. So the law of averages we're seeing at the moment. Why is it important to go to auction? Well, we talked about it before. There's no building and pest, no cooling off period, no finance clause, no special conditions. It is a cash unconditional contract. You sign that contract, it's done, it's dusted, you move on with life. Now, I think it's really important too, if you're buying a property out there, that this can really help getting an unconditional contract. As soon as you sign that, you could literally go to the next property and potentially make a cash offer. Now, that's going to lift your negotiation potential, going from to that agent that you're buying from and saying, look, I've signed the contract, I don't know when it's going to be unconditional, I need a clause on there, maybe 21 days to reverse that. You go to that property and you say, I'm unconditional, I'm going to make a cash offer. It might make that negotiation a little bit easier for you. Sometimes get that auction is stressful. I think there's an element of stress with every sale, a little bit of stress anyway. What is stressful is signing a contract and not knowing whether it will go ahead or not, and getting a call from the solicitor on the 27th day, look, they haven't been able to get finance, I'm sorry, the contract's fallen over. You've then got to put your property back on the market, get momentum happening. What isn't as stressful is signing a contract and it's done. It's all dusted, you move on with life. So I think there's actually arguably less stress attached to it. Some people say, look, buyers may not want to go to auction because they need those conditions, and that's totally fair. But what we do in an auction campaign is it's 4 weeks. Now, a buyer comes through the first week and says, Yanni, I need finance. We can help that buyer and say, we've got a broker, let's get your finance sorted and get you ready to bid at the auction. Yanni, I need a building and pest. Great. Would you like to organise a building and pest? You go and get it done, and then you come and negotiate the property. So it's getting everything you need to get done and then coming to negotiate the property, not let's take your property off the market, give us 30 days, you can't do anything about it, and then we'll go and get everything done. It's sort of reversing that as well. So we don't stop buyers from getting things done that they need to get done. They just get that done prior and either make an offer prior to auction or come and bid at the auction. A little bit more efficient that way. Some sellers actually choosing the auction method say to me, Yanni, I like that we don't put a price on it. I like the unconditional contract, that there's no conditions on it, but I prefer to sell prior than have the day itself. I think you should still go to auction because you're aiming for that unconditional contract, but you can accept an offer prior to auction. 99% of the times, it's got no conditions on it. So that's listing your property, you get the benefit of no price, and you just look for offers prior. Those offers will be on auction terms, meaning no cooling off period, finance, building and pest, nothing. It'll be an unconditional contract. So that might be you out there that says, I don't know if I want the auction day, but I like the no price, I like the unconditional contract. Let's list it as auction and just aim for negotiations prior. That could be you as well. You also set the settlement period and the terms of sale. So before the auction, when you set your reserve price, you'll be telling your agent and auctioneer what your settlement period is and what your deposit amount is. So the seller sets the settlement and the deposit requirements for an auction campaign, not vice versa on a private treaty. Some buyers say, I don't know about auctions, I don't know if we like auctions. A lot of them like it on the basis of they can see their competition. I think if any buyer says out there, oh yeah, I don't know about auction, I think in a short conversation of saying, seriously, you've been at open homes for weeks and weeks and weeks, you find a property, maybe not property number 6 or 7, you're making an offer on it and the agent does it, they do it all the time. You say to that agent, you want to make an offer? And they say to you, look, we've got 5 other offers on the table. We can't tell you what they are. You just need to make your best offer. By the way, you need to sign this form saying you acknowledge there's other offers on the table. You don't know where to make your offer. You don't know what to beat. You don't know how much you've got to pay. Then you make an offer at $1 million and the agent gives you a call back a day later and says, look, we've actually taken $1,020,000. You just missed out. A lot of buyers say to me, Yanni, we would have went to $1,030,000, $1,040,000, $1,050,000 if we knew where the bid was at. That is the most crucial thing for a buyer. You will see where your competition is. You'll know exactly what is going on. And if you're new to the auction process, we've got a lot of videos out there to help with your bidding, but you'll be able to see your competition. Not this sales behind closed doors, not we can't tell you what the other offers are, and then they come back to you and you would have paid that little bit more. So that in a multiple offer situation in Queensland, an agent, if there's more than one offer on the table, 2, 3, 4, they cannot tell each party what the other offers are. With an auction, you absolutely can. You'll be able to see where that bid's at. At $1 million now, you'll be able to bid to $1 million, $20 million, $30 million, whatever you feel comfortable with. A lot of my successful bidders at the moment are knowing what their budgets are. They're coming to auction, they're seeing where their competition is, and they're placing educated bids based on all of that information. So if you're a buyer out there that says, I don't know about auction, maybe think about, do you like going to an open home, not knowing where you got to beat, even if that's got a price on it, and the agent saying we got multiple offers. Might be one to think about there. A lot of my owners are selling in order to buy, and I think an auction method of sale is the one to go for. Why is that? Well, you might list your property now, and the often case is you don't know where you're going to buy. You can't buy until you sell, so you don't know whether to make an offer or find something to sell. It's sort of that big round circle. So what do you do first? Well, I think you should list your property as auction. Do a 28-day campaign. Most auctions are 4 weeks. And you could quite literally, the first day of the campaign, start looking at other properties. You start your search. Now, if you find a property prior to you going to auction or selling for a cash unconditional offer prior, you might find a property. Now, you're still subject to sale, meaning you can't buy until your property sells. So there'll be a condition that goes on that contract. It's much more effective if you find a property, even before you sell, to go to that agent that you're buying from. Instead of doing the whole, I've just listed my property, I've listed it for a price, I don't know when it's going to sell. The average days on market in our area are around 60. I don't know when it's going to go unconditional, but I want to make an offer subject to sale. I've got to sell my place, but I want to make... Now, let's go to number 2 on that. Agent, I want to make an offer. I've listed my property as an auction. I'm aiming to get a cash unconditional contract all tied up within 28 days. I think they're 2 different levels of negotiation power, even if you haven't sold your property. Now let's fast forward the night before the auction, you're setting your reserve, you're setting your settlement period. This is very effective because you've had 28 days to go and look at what you're buying, you've gotten feedback on your own property. You can tell your agent, look, I still haven't found anything. Can we set a 3-month settlement, a 4-month settlement, a 5-month settlement? So even if you haven't found something prior to you executing a contract, you can just set the terms of the auction accordingly. Or it might be the opposite. You might say, look, I found something, do a 30-day settlement, sell it unconditionally today. So it really helps with the whole, I've got to buy, I've got to sell, I don't know whether I have to sell first until I have to buy. But also, as soon as that hammer comes down on auction day and you've set that 3-month settlement, you're cash unconditional. That contract's not falling over. You go and negotiate your next property, there might be a lot more negotiation power there saying, I'm done, my property's sold, I'm cash unconditional, let's negotiate the property that you're selling. So really effective method of sale. If you need to sell, you need to buy, you don't know what to do first, list it as auction, can buy something in the period up to the auction. If you still haven't found anything, set a longer settlement, sell it cash unconditionally, and then start negotiating. A lot of my sellers are choosing this at the moment because they're thinking, let's sell now, let's buy later. We set the settlement periods as a seller for an auction property. This is really the way that real estate's meant to be negotiated, I think. I mean, auction is a great way to buy property. If you look at other sales out there, selling your phone, selling your car, there's not too many things I know where a buyer can come to you, you're selling your car, and says, I want to buy your car, but give me 30 days. Let me take your car off the market. You can't sell to anyone else. I'm going to see if I can even buy this thing. I'm going to get my finance. I'm going to talk to them. But let me go and see, and then I'll come back to you. Come back 30 days later. Sorry, I can't buy the car. Continue with your inquiry. Real estate should be no different. Your biggest asset should be no different. You should be saying to the buyers, go and do your own research. Let's come and negotiate when you're ready to buy. So it's the way that real estate's designed to be negotiated, whether that you sell prior, sell on the day, sell after, and I'll get to that in a moment's time. Let's treat your biggest asset seriously and let's sell cash unconditionally. What are the benefits of auction? This is one of my favorite subjects. So you don't have to set a price when you list your property as auction. This is quite crucial when we have mixed data, and there's so much mixed data because you're going to set the price for your property based on only one thing, based on recent comparable sales, preferably in the last 3 months. Now, a lot of properties I go out to, and there's recent sales from 700,000 to 950 of similar comparable sales in the area. So the question is, where do you set that? At 700, you might sell too low. If you go and set it at 950, you might miss all of the market and you don't know where to put it. With an auction, you don't put a price on it. You tell the market, come through, let's have a look at your property, get feedback from the most important person out there. Not an agent, not a uncle that's a property expert. Buyers with cash in their pocket ready to do a deal now. That is the most valuable resource in our industry. So you get that feedback. Come 28 days, it's a 28-day campaign. You'll have all of the feedback from the buyers. You can then set your reserve price. Reserve price meaning the figure the bidding must get to or exceed for the property to sell. If it falls in under that, you don't sell on the day. So you'll be able to set that accordingly. 28 days of time of feedback, and then you go, okay, we've actually got feedback at 900, 910, 920. Let's set the reserve at 980 based on all of the offers and the feedback from buyers in the marketplace. Not based off an agent coming into your house and giving you a very high figure just to get your business and pushing them down. Based on one thing, and that's feedback from buyers. One moment. It is the most valuable resource we have in our industry. There's no doubt about that. I've also seen a few buyers use that 700 to 950 range. Get feedback. They think, okay, it's 7 to 950, and then they get offers and feedback, offer at 900, 920, 950, feedback at 980. Well, you're probably not going to set your reserve based on your original feedback. You might push that reserve up a little bit to $1 million because you've got the feedback from the market. I've seen that quite a lot actually, where we actually move the reserve up based on what feedback you're getting. So you can set that at any moment in time based on the feedback from the market. Now, you can also accept offers prior. I briefly touched on it last time. So you might set a 4-week campaign. You might get offers coming in prior. Someone comes to you and says, Yanni, I don't want to wait till auction day. I want to make an offer prior. That's a cash contract. There's no conditions on it. You're going to auction, no cooling off period. Everything's waived. Now, the benefit of this is each week you'll be getting feedback, offers, marketing reports, weekly meetings. You'll be able to not just go, oh, should we accept it? I don't know. You'll be able to go, wait a minute. Let's have a look at the feedback from the market, the other offers. And if all of the feedback and interest is at 800 and your offer at 950, you might go, we're in the right position to accept that 950. We know if we don't go to auction that offer may be the highest. Now, it's still not all over Red Rover there. If you say to me, Yanni, we want to accept that 950 offer, we still go back to all other parties and make sure we've got the best in a multiple offer situation. Or we bring the auction date forward. So we make sure the whole time that we're getting the best price. And even if you get that offer prior, it's based on one thing, the valuable resource being feedback from the market. You set the terms of the seller. You set the settlement period. You set the deposit amount. I touched on it before. You might get to day 27. You might go, okay, we haven't found anything. Let's set a longer settlement. We want a 10% deposit. Or you might get to the day prior to the auction and go, you know what? We want a short settlement. You'll be able to set that. It's your home. You set the terms of the auction. Not the other way around with private treaty where the buyer makes their demands. Biggest one is competition creates record prices. Quite simple. The amount of properties I've been into where there's a big long list of recent sales around 700,000, we go and take a property to auction, it sells for 850. I've seen it so many times, or even more. Yes, buyers know all of those other recent sales, but if they see the bids at 700, they love the property, they know it's all there, they might stick their hand up at 725. Then another bid might come in at 750. Another bid might come in at 775. That competition creates the record prices. 90+% of my records in this industry have come through the auction method of sale, whether that be an offer prior with competition or under the hammer. That competition where buyers can see where they need to beat really creates that record price, not the whole, I can't tell you where the other offers are, you've just got to make an offer where you see fit. It's quite reversed. Majority of areas in this country, if you look at majority of areas in the data, the auction days on market with an auction method of sale versus private treaty are in a lot of cases half of what the private treaty is, private treaty being price. So it's quite simple. If you've got a property that you're taking to auction, generally speaking, in most areas, it will be on the market half the time that a private treaty is. And that's majority of areas in Australia. The data does not lie. If you get to auction and you don't want to sell, you don't have to sell. So a lot of people say, oh, I don't know about the day. Well, we might set a reserve at $1 million and the bidding might get to 900,000, we can have an executive conversation and go, should we sell this property? The bidding's here. We know that we've got feedback at this level. You don't need to sell the property at all. Yes, a lot of our properties do sell under the HEMA, but you, the seller, decide if you want to sell that property on the day. And you do that based on the most valuable resource in this industry is the feedback from the buyers who are ready to buy. Now, some people say, look, you miss out on buyers. If you go to auction, buyers need finance, buyers need this, buyers need, building and pest. Well, you don't miss out on any buyers. If we meet a buyer day one and they say, we need finance, we can't bid at auction, my conversation to them is, look, we've got 27 days to the auction. I've got a broker who will get you done in record time. Let's do your pre-approval now so you can bid at auction. Yanni, we need a building and pest. Great. Let's book in a building and pest. You can do it right now out of your expense and let's get a building and pest done. The buyer's got skin in the game. Again, they're not getting your property, taking it off the market and then saying we need to do all these things and we'll come back to you in 30 days time and let you know if we'll go ahead or not. Reverse. Get your things done and then come and negotiate. Whether that be an offer prior to the auction on a cash basis or bidding on the auction day. So it's totally reversed. And the most valuable buyers are the ones that are going to be prepared in a position to negotiate, ready to go now. Not just saying, oh, we'll see how it goes. Let's take your property off the market and we'll see if it goes through or not. But also, if we meet a buyer day 27 and they say, Yanni, we need finance, the auction's tomorrow, we can't bid. Well, it's probably unlikely that finance is going to get granted in that 24 hours. But a big misconception in this industry is agents say, bugger off, we don't want you. That's totally not true. What I would say to that buyer is, look, the auction's tomorrow. You do need a finance clause. Let's get an offer in writing now. Come to my auction tomorrow. And if it passes in for any reason, you'll be able to make an offer after the auction. We do not miss out on that buyer. When we set the reserve the night before with the seller, we will have conditional offers. And that conversation will be, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we've got 3 conditional offers around that $1 million mark. We've got this unconditional interest on the day who's ready to bid on a non-conditional basis. So you'll be able to see, okay, well, look, if we do pass in tomorrow, if we don't get to the level we are, we've got buyers who can't bid on the day, but they're ready to make an offer straight after the auction. So you'll be able to assess, and sometimes the conditional interest may be a little bit higher than the unconditional interest or vice versa. So we do not miss out on buyer. Absolute misconception in this industry. We don't miss out on them at all. We would invite them to the auction and say, look, come on the day, let's do an offer prior. If it passes in for any reason, you'll be able to make an offer straight after the auction. And that's crucial information too, because a seller can go, okay, I've got this unconditional and conditional interest on the day. Let's see where the bidding gets to. It's so crucial. So we don't miss out on any buyers, whether that be day 1, go and do your things, come back, negotiate prior or at auction, whether that be day 27 and we don't have time, come to my auction, let's get an offer in writing from you now. If it passes in, we'll be able to make an offer after. And if an auction does pass in, generally speaking, you'll see most cases, an offer's done very shortly after the auction, because if it does pass in, we'll set the deadline to the bidders, the unconditional interest on the day, and those conditional offers. We'll say, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to pass the property in today. We've got unconditional bidders here bidding at the auction who didn't secure it. We've got conditional interest standing over there who are ready to make offers now on a conditional basis. You've got 48 hours to submit your best offer. So we get going on a bit of competition then. And generally speaking, we get it all sorted very shortly after the auction. So we don't miss out on anything. And the only thing I say to most sellers is, give me 28 days to sell your property on a cash, unconditional basis. No cooling off period, 5-day clause in this state where a buyer can pull out, no questions asked, they can pull out of the contract. No building and pest, which is generally 14 days. A lot of buyers are using this as ransom at the moment where they say, look, we found a mark on the vanity or that tile's cracked, can we have 50 grand off? 3 weeks after the contract signed, because they're hearing on the media that the market's going down or whatever it may be. No ransom there. Or it might be the 28-day finance clause that a buyer takes your property off the market and then they find out, oh, I can't get finance anymore. Sorry, we'll have to pull out the contract. Why don't you give me 28 days to sell your property with no price guide? We get feedback, valuable resource in the market, to sell on a cash unconditional basis, whether that be Yanni, we would prefer to sell prior on that cash contract, but get us an offer prior, or Yanni, we love the day where bidding happens, let's get it there. And you know what? If you don't meet your reserve price, that figure it must get to, if it doesn't, it does not sell. Then you can put your price on it. But so many properties start with the price, it's too high, they sit on the market, or they start with the price and they accept an offer early and it falls off as after 28 days. That first 2 weeks is the most crucial, by the way. It is the most crucial. You list your property, the first 2 weeks will be where you get the most feedback. So if you accept an early offer in week 1, wait 3 weeks and then have it fallen over, you've lost the most momentum of your campaign. Yes, you can reclaw it back, but it won't be so straightforward as it was if you did the right process at the start. It is so crucial in this market, yes, to still get the best prices, but to get a clean, concise, unconditional contract where you can go and negotiate on the next property straight away, start packing your home, not waiting for a buyer to go ahead or not. I think that's so crucial. We always talk about record prices with this method of sale. I think the clean cash, unconditional contract really is an important one to talk about right now. So just to summarize there, give me 28 days, no price, get the feedback from the market, the valuable resource. That feedback might be high. You can adjust your reserve accordingly. Get a good offer prior. Again, you get a strong offer prior at 950, the rest of the feedback's 800. You've got peace of mind. I've got peace of mind to go, you know what? We've exhausted the market for 3 weeks. This offer's at 950, feedback's at 8. That's a good offer to accept. We're in an educated place to accept that contract. Not all over there. You want to accept that 950? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, give me 24 hours. I need to let everyone else know. Yes, they said 800. They could go to 9. Let's see if we got their best. Peace of mind. And if you get to day 28, and it doesn't get to where it needs to, conditional, unconditional interest, multiple offer. Still doesn't sell there, then you can put your price on it. But let's start the right way, and then if you really want to put that price on it, you can. You really need to be cautious in this market to hear from agents say, nah, chuck that big price on it just so I can win your business. You want to start with the method of sale. And people say, Yanni, you know, you do more auctions than most. A lot of agents around here don't do auctions. Well, I think there's some reasons for that. And if it was my own home, I would consider a method of sale where you get the best contract conditions on the best price and the best competition. And it's the main thing for me is the peace of mind, is to go, let's put it out to the market. Let's get all the feedback. Yes, there's 10 different opinions. Someone might say 1 million, someone might say 800. Let's hear them all. Let's get offers prior. If it's high enough, we'll accept. If not, we'll go to the auction. But it gives me peace of mind and you, the seller, peace of mind to, when we sell, go, you know what? We've exhausted this market. We've turned over every stone. We know that this is a good offer. Not just chucking it on for 800. It's selling for 780 within 2 weeks. I don't know if there's much peace of mind there with going, yeah, okay, we accepted an offer pretty quickly. There's not a whole lot of peace of mind. And for most people, a lot of their wealth is built through property. You want to make sure you get it right with your biggest asset. So crucial. And why is it that we do a lot more auctions than others? I think it's easier as an agent to just chuck a price on there, see how it goes, you know, get the seller down in price and then sell it. With this process, we've got to make sure we've got interest there, we're accountable to our market, and we've got to be very concise with our marketing and getting interest through. It's so crucial. So if you're considering listing with an agent that's saying, no, don't go to auction, it doesn't, you know, work or whatever it may be, make sure you get all of the feedback on pros and cons, not just going the easy way out and chucking the price on and seeing how it goes. This is your biggest asset. Let's take it absolutely seriously. And I do have about a 20-minute video where I go into depth. I know this is a live video. It's a little bit authentic, not that scripted, but I do have a long video there where I explain the whole benefits of the auction process. And I think it should be a consideration whether you have a 2-bedroom unit for $400,000 or a $5 million penthouse or a mansion on the hill. And just quickly on that, people say to me, Yanni, it's not a mansion on the hill. Should I take it to auction? Absolutely, because a mansion on the hill has this much of a buyer pool. A 2-bedroom unit with 5 other on the market has a buyer pool of this. So auction is not just, oh, is it an auction property? It's got nothing to do with the property. It's a method of sale where we can sell prior cash unconditionally, go to the day, get the competition. If we want to, pass it in and negotiate after. If you really want to, put a price on it after that. It's just a method of sale and you've got to make sure your agent in this market is not just an order taker, they're a deal maker, they're a negotiator, doing all of those things for you as well. Geez, it's a fascinating subject. If you've missed a bit of that, go back and rewatch this video at the end. We're about 30 minutes of live recording right now. But I've also got that video on YouTube at Yanni Mooney Property where I explain it all in detail. And you know what? Get the info. And if you're still not happy with that method of sale, that's absolutely fine. But don't just go listen to the whole, oh, chuck it on with the price, see how it goes. Get it explained to you. So to all my sellers, I'm going to explain all methods of sale. You're going to decide on what's preferable for you. It's not just a one-size shoe fits it all. You sit back at the seller, do a pros and cons if you need to, and then make an educated decision on that biggest asset of yours. It is absolutely crucial. Our new listings, let's get to them. So in the last week, we have listed 39 McDonald Street in Dickey Beach. I absolutely love this property. You're on Two-Way Creek here. It is a low set 3-bedroom home, 2 bathroom, 2.5 bathroom really. You've got a powder room there, 2-car accommodation, swimming pool, north facing backyard. You've also got a studio. Could be used as a granny flat, but it's an art studio at the moment. You could do some conversion there. But you're in the Dickey Beach suburb, a very, very desirable suburb on the Sunshine Coast. A moment's walk to Moffat Beach, Dickey Beach, around to Curramundi if you really wanted to. And it's a very tree-lined area, tree-lined street. You don't feel like you're in the heart of the action. It's so beautiful. You've got a park reserve next door, no neighbour next door. This property goes under the hammer on the 10th of March. Head over to our website at Yanni Mooney Property to see more pics and the floor plan. Absolutely spectacular property. That video, the marketing video, will be out later this week from Luke Soanes Media, our famous Luke Soanes there. Unit 105 Egret Street townhouse. This is in the Caloundra CBD, an outstanding location, a 3-bedroom, 2 bathroom, 1 car. It's near new, you know, only a couple of years old. You've got some good depreciation benefits there. If you're an investor, if you're an owner occupier, or even a first home buyer, you're in a handy location close to the high school of Caloundra, as well as the primary school and the main street of town as well. It's all there. I absolutely love this property, and that one will be on the market, say, in the next week or so. We're just getting some marketing together. 3-bedroom townhouse. Entry-level buying in the Caloundra CBD. Just to recap, go back and watch the rest of this video if you need to, or head to our YouTube page to watch more. We've got heaps of resources there when it comes to either buying your biggest asset or selling your biggest asset. Over $2.5 million of sales for myself in the last 7 days. It is such a great time to be in real estate if you're considering selling. I think now is an outstanding time. Yes, there's some uncertainty out there, but potentially you can profit on that. Sell now for a good price, maybe buy down the track. 17 suburbs were listed in 4551 last week. And I really touched on getting that unconditional contract, making sure that when you sign, it's stressless, you move on with your life, and there's so many benefits there that you can go back and recap on. Thank you so much for your time. Monday night, 7 p.m, we're live, unscripted, making sure you get your real estate dose for the 4551 real estate market. We look forward to seeing you next week at 7 p.m. This is unedited footage. It's raw, it's authentic, and you get this every week at 7 p.m. on Yanni Mooney Property Facebook page. Until next week, we'll see you all out in market.